We talked on the phone last week, and I've had my say-so on this Survivor casting business.
Yeah.
Let me reiterate it for the crowd. They're going to have the blacks versus the whites versus, I don't know, the Hispanics versus somebody else and somebody else, all right? Obviously, it's a cheap, tawdry ploy to get a buzz. It has nothing to do with social experiment, as the yo-yos at CBS said. Even though that show is still very popular from spring to spring, they've had a dramatic drop-off in audience. I'm from a neighborhood. We played Catholics versus the Protestants, all right? And there were a couple of Jewish kids in the neighborhood, and one Jew became an honorary Catholic, the other Jewish kid became an honorary Protestant, blah, blah, blah. So this was never a big deal to me. And as I say, it's a cheesy ratings ploy, blah, 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 blah. Nevertheless, there has been a lot of controversy. Calvin Butts up at the Ebenezer Church in New York is the latest to come out against it. I wanted to ask your opinion on this.
At first, it offended me, but then I, being the media savvy guy that I am, I understood perfectly why they were doing it. I got out of Survivor a couple seasons ago, so this isn't going to be enough to get me to watch, but it'll be very interesting to see if they get a ratings bump based on the fact that they're pulling this stunt, which is exactly what it is.
By the way, in looking at this list, now I know why this thing got
Boy, when I agree with you, it's a lot less hot in here.
Joe, isn't it hot in here? No, but I didn't realize you had written down here, black entertainers who act in profane or buffoonish manner. Is there a race-based derogatory word to describe non-black entertainers? I didn't realize I stepped into that because I didn't see
you stepped into it.
Oh, I don't do that big time. Now, you also have written down here, coffee, donuts, cigarette smoke, AA meetings, and the Serenity Prayer.
Yeah, you were talking about that a few days ago, and it touched, I guess, what the actors call a sense memory, because that combination smell of the donuts, which was first and foremost to a fat kid like me, but this was back in the day. I remember going to those meetings and smelling that smell.
Was your dad?
Yeah, instantly familiar. If I smelled it today, it would instantly take me back, and I just thought it was, I think my dad crosses my mind just about every day. Just about. No, I'm just kidding. But that's one of the things that I remember him taking me to those meetings and hearing these people tell their stories of how they were this, that, and how they survived it and came out of it, and they hold up the chip, and it was a congratulatory moment. But that smell of coffee, cigarettes, and there was nothing else like that in the world, and it just
funniest thing
sentimental to be sure.
Funniest thing to me
makes you regress.
I talked to a guy who still goes to AA meetings, and he's telling me most AA meetings you can't smoke.
Is that right?
And I was stunned by that because
sometimes it's a replacement vice, right?
Well, I don't know the answer to that question.
Yeah.
I don't know the answer to that question. All I know is that when I got into AA, keep in mind,
the smoke-filled room.
I got into AA in 1973. Today, 20% of the population smokes. In 1973, 33 years ago, I'm going to bet that the population proportion was higher, number one. Number two, I'm going to guess that half of the people smoked, and because so many people smoked, and this is before the big anti-smoking whoop-de-doo got up, the rest of the people just kind of took it. There was one place, the One-on-One Club in Pompano, where they did, it was a club where they held AA meetings. They did have one enclosed area that was the non-smoking area, which was enclosed, and they actually piped in the speakers, and it was tiny, okay, because just about everybody did smoke. Today, to understand that there are non-smoking meetings just absolutely blows me away. And the funny thing about the coffee and the donuts, I always had the donuts where they made the lousiest coffee. I will never forget.
Well, I never complained about the donuts.
Oh, I'll bet you did.
That's the only reason I was there.
I bet you said, donuts here? No, I knew why.
Gave me a choice of donuts and cigarettes. I said, I'll take the donuts.
I can't tell you how many AA meetings I went to where a drunken guy would come in, have a cup of coffee, a donut, and he'd say, here for the meeting. No, man, I came for the food, and he'd leave. Honest to God.
I believe it.
You would see that all the time.
Yeah, but he left to go to an Overeaters Anonymous meeting.
Well, the other thing is, and I do not gamble except when we went to the track a couple of times.
That was fun.
You've never lived until you've seen this guy on those poker machines. This guy was going berserk.
This is what happens when you let a church boy go a little loose.
He stayed for the weekend.
Did you?
Oh, well, we had to take a special bus to go back to West Virginia.
I put a few quarters in that slot machine and came out of there with $81.
Well, I don't even know odds, but the few times that I've gone to the track, which is the only time that I've ever bet, they were radio station promotions. I'm not saying that all alcoholics are destined to be gamblers anonymous or overeaters or whatever, although I think a lot of the same principles. Certainly gambling and alcohol, and even eating.
My God.
I really do believe.
Instead of drinking, I've eaten.
Instead of drinking, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let me just run something by. We get serious for a second. The theory in Alcoholics Anonymous and in Overeaters Anonymous and in Gamblers Anonymous, they say you're not powerless over the first fifth. You're not powerless over the first pint. You are powerless over the first drink. That the drink to the alcoholic, for whatever the reason, sets off a chain reaction that ultimately, it may be in 50 minutes, it may be in 5 days, but that first drink is what you are powerless over, and that will ultimately culminate in a drunk. The Overeaters Anonymous folks who use the same principles as the AA folks will tell you, and I'm inclined to buy this, that you are not powerless over the first bag of chips. It's the first chip. Once you take that chip, there is just some reactions, physical, psychological, or whatever. I am a borderline overeater. I control myself big time. I'm able to overcome that compulsion. But believe you me, let me tell you, it is difficult for me, although I can do it. But I believe that the true overeater is indeed powerless over the first bite, the first chip. What do you think?
Absolutely. I mean, from my own personal experience, and we've talked about.
And you're losing too. You're losing again.
I'm trying, but taint easy. You can't put a box of cookies in front of me because I ain't gonna just eat one. Yeah. You know that you can consider it gone pretty much because that's the compulsiveness of what I have done.
There's just something that goes off inside
and it's that
of your
one.
brain.
I can tell you, I understand the craving for your addiction because I'm guilty of many a nights when I want that certain thing and I'm getting up to go and get it and nothing will stop me. I will look at every bus. I'm going to get it and there's nothing that's going to say. I mean, I would imagine it's the same thing with that person that wants and craves that drink. And you ain't going out there to just get the bottle so that you can pour it into one little glass and have a shot. No, you're going to get the bottle because you want the bottle.
Yeah, but not well. See, that's
is that well? You.
I realized my ultimate final drink. All right, and what finally convinced me many years too late that I was an alcoholic. The last night I went out, I wound up getting arrested. Blah blah for the 90th time. I went out that night, as I had many other nights. But this particular night, I went out. I am going to drink like everybody else drinks. I can do this. I can take a drink, a sip of a drink, and leave it in front of me and nurse it for a half hour, 45 minutes, whatever. Now, again, the first drink may take some alcoholics a month. They may drink successfully for 29 days, and on the 30th, get the drunk and then go right down into the toilet, all right? But with me, the chain reaction would be almost instant. The minute I had it in my system, it was like a little voice inside of me said, go, baby. Yeah. And I would just go until I was out of alcohol, thrown in jail, passed out, or whatever.
It's your system saying, I want more, and you're going to give it to me. Yeah.
And the gambling...
It's like a spoiled child inside your head.
Yeah, and I knew many an alcoholic that would go to an AA meeting and then right afterwards would go to the Gamblers Anonymous meeting. I'm not making that up.
I'm gonna file a lawsuit against all the convenience stores because they haven't, or the manufacturers, because they refuse to manufacture a potato chip bag with just one potato chip in it.
More importantly, why they call it...
I want my potato chips. I want everybody's flesh. You can eat the baked potato chips.
I like those too, but Elaine, the point is, I'm not just gonna eat one of them.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, even when you're drinking diet this or eating or a reduced fat that, if you eat a whole bag of it, you're not really doing yourself a favor.
But wait a minute, a little bag like that,
there's
not going to hurt you.
I don't believe in little bags.
The problem.
The problem is if you think I'm going all the way to the store to get a little bag of potato chips.
Okay, I see what you mean.
You have to understand something.
I'm a compulsive.
The little bag. What's depressing enough?
It's a tease.
The little bag of potato chips. Already, there's 300 calories and about 4 chips in there.
It's 150.
Whatever. There are about 12 chips in there. A little bag of M&Ms, I think it's 240 calories, 280. I'm talking about the little one like that, okay? They call it junk food, but boy, it sure does taste good. And all of this stuff that's... Daryl used to produce the show, The Man Who Did Not Find Me Funny. Daryl used to sit in that room and devour carrots. He was on a diet at the time, and the man's eyes turned orange. And I remember I'd say, why don't you why don't you eat something good? He says, this is good for you. I said, I know, but it doesn't taste like it's good for you. It tastes like garbage. Why would anybody do that?
I got addicted to the baby carrots. I love those.
I love them too.
That's right. Didn't you want a carrots binge at TA at one time?
Maybe.
I think you did.
Maybe.
I think you did. What are you going to say, Greg? You have something you want to say about Durham? I'm sorry, I thought you did. AM News Talk 1360. What else I want to talk about? Oh,
he won't say anything because he's afraid I'll turn it into a racial issue.
Oh, no. Look.
Not you, him.
Oh, him. Him. Oh.
Afraid to offend the brother.
You mean no one called in on that?
On what?
On you all's...
Oh, we don't take calls.
We don't take phone calls.
We're here to entertain the masses.
Long John didn't take phone calls. Hoerth doesn't take phone calls. Now, I want to ask you another question. Will you be Elaine? I'll start with you.
Okay.
Sam, News Talk 1360, by the way. Laurence and Elaine.
I
and
know
Doug.
where I am, Doug. Good
But
God.
they don't. They're too busy going, is this Perry? You don't need that. Anyway, will you be watching Katie Monday night or next Monday night or whenever it is on her inaugural broadcast? Katie Kirk?
Yes, I have to watch her because I'm the one that said I don't think she's going to do well.
Will you be watching?
I'll probably watch the first newscast or tape the first newscast and watch it later.
I may watch 5 minutes.
Well,
that's amazing.
I don't watch, and there's nothing. It really doesn't have anything to do with her. I don't watch those evening news shows at all. I don't.
But what's funny about it, I'm saying to myself, now I will watch for a couple of minutes to be sure. I think it's next week that it starts.
The 5th, I think.
Is it the 5th? Mm-hmm. That's when she'll be on.
When is the 5th? Today's the 30th.
It'll be next Wednesday.
Oh, Wednesday, yeah. You still would have started next
Monday.
Tuesday, yeah, because Monday is Labor Day. But
is Monday Labor Day?
Yeah, but to stop and think how weird that is, okay, extra number of people will be tuning in to see what? To see her read. Because that's all she does. She reads for 18 minutes, 19 minutes, or whatever.
Or they don't want to be out of the loop at the office the next day when